Welcome to this video where we want to compare the background blur of the 35mm main camera sensor of the Vivo X200 Ultra and want to see if this one has nicer background blur than a crop-in from the main 1-inch type sensor 23mm of the Oppo Find X8 Ultra. 1-inch type sensor versus a little bit of a cropped sensor at 35mm native lens, however. And then as a bonus, we want to also compare with the 35mm from the Nubia Z60 Ultra. So let's compare first against the Oppo. This is now the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, cropped to 35mm from 23mm 1-inch type sensor, nice background blur. Do we see the sunset there and then background? What do you think about it? How about the colors and so on? And this is the Vivo X200 Ultra that I filmed earlier with. So what do you think about the video here? Last but not least, the Nubia Z60 Ultra, and this one also has 35mm, also the same f-stop number, f1.69, so it's very close to what we have with the, not the Oppo, with the Vivo actually, but we have a much smaller sensor, 101.5 inch size sensor instead of the Vivo's 101.28 inch size sensor. So what do you think about the crop in here of the Nubia Z60 Ultra? I think all of them are good, but you can clearly see the optical advantage of 35mm. Here even the Nubia looks, I think, a little bit more polished than the crop on the Oppo. But you be the judge, you can write it down in the comment section which of those is performing better for videography. So now an indoors test at 4K 60 frames per second with the 35mm lenses on the Nubia and on the Vivo, and on the middle we have the cropped in 23mm to 35mm on the Oppo Find X8 Ultra. 4K 60 frames per second, a bit of light here coming from here, probably my face a little bit weird from the light there, but I wanted to test out, especially in low light conditions, how well is the 1-inch type sensor handling the noise, the exposure and so on levels, especially at 4K 60 frames per second, and how well is it doing on the Vivo. I think the Nubia should be the weakest there because it has the tiniest sensor there, but it also has an advantage of 35mm here and a large aperture opening, so maybe it can compensate somehow, or maybe the algorithm on the Nubia is working nicely, but I expect it to be the worst here, especially at 4K 60 frames per second. So what do you think about the colors? The Vivo this time around is using the automatic mode, so probably too warm kind of colors. The Oppo, we saw on the daylight example that it was way too warm there in terms of colors, where the Nubia found, I think, a nice middle ground there. And maybe on the Vivo I set it manually, the white balance there, maybe a bit too cold, but it was a bit colder actually, and the sun in the background, yeah, added a bit of yellow, but it wasn't like this yellow as on the Oppo, so I think the Oppo was overdoing it there with the yellowish kind of colors. So the Nubia may be a bit less sharp, the Oppo also not much sharper, but the Vivo was splendid of sharp, and I think even did the best there in this regard. But I think it might be a bit over sharpening as well, but who matters? What does it care? Who does care about it if it looks so nice as it does on the video? And on the Oppo, it's a bit soft. Some people might like it, might prefer it for more cinematic kind of look. I can still get it, but you can see that the superiority also with the Nubia of the 35mm optical lens is clearly there, and that it helps getting a different kind of perspective. It feels different, the footage that you look at with the Nubia and with the Vivo at 35mm. So what is your opinion about it? I have them free side by side now with the Vivo, with the Oppo and the Nubia, and which one is doing and performing better in this dim lit situation here, which one has the better noise reduction, which one has the better noise handling, which one does better with my face exposure here, and which one in general is doing a bit better. I had to like put them out. It's like interesting, the Nubia I can just stand like this, I don't have to lean it against anything. The Oppo I would expect as well because it had flat edges, but no, I had to like lean it against a large clock, and the Vivo as well. The Vivo actually stands like the weakest there, and I had to like put like something in front so it doesn't fall over. So a bit of like amateurish kind of design because I don't have a tripod with 3 legs or 3 smartphone holders. But what do you think about the performance of all of those here side by side? Which one is doing the best? In my opinion, it's clearly the Vivo. Then slightly to the Oppo still with its 1-inch type sensor, and the Nubia sadly with its smaller sensor, I think last place here, but not by far. And I really would like to see the Nubia Z60 Ultra that has the 101.28 inch size sensor, probably the same sensor as the Vivo has, how it then can compete against the Vivo. But sadly, Nubia is not reacting to my contacts. I tried contacting them for the Z60 Ultra leading edition, for the Z70 Ultra edition, and yeah, the Z70 Ultra edition. Sadly, they are not answering my requests. Maybe you can try to write some emails and tell them to send me a sample device, so I have also the possibility to check out the Z70 Ultra. Or Nubia, if you're watching, I'm open for a cooperation, and yeah, I'm also open to send you the device back, of course, have it just as a loaner for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. That's it for this video. Write down in the comment section which one of those is performing better in terms of 35mm video. Of course, I will do also a comparison between the Nubia Z60 Ultra that has a large ultra-wide angle against the Vivo X200 Ultra that also has a large ultra-wide angle that is even more ultra-wide than the Nubia's. And this video, yeah, you can expect to come out also pretty soon. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye. Now I have to stop.